So, depending on the source, the budget for Disney's live-action remake of Snow White was anywhere from about $240 million to up to $270 million. We may never know the exact budget, of course, I acknowledge that. Reported budgets are often less than the actual figure, mind you. If you throw on the usual $100 million or so in marketing costs, you're looking at anywhere from $340 million to $370 million total. So that's production and marketing costs. But let's go with the best case scenario here and say that the film cost a total of $340 million to make. So that's the lower end of the scale. Even taking the lower estimate, Snow White's box office performance was truly appalling. We're talking about this because the film has recently finished its theatrical run, so it's no longer in cinemas. If you ask me, it should never have been anywhere near cinemas in the first place because it shouldn't have been released, but hey, that's just my opinion. Let's take a look now at what it grossed at the box office using Box Office Mojo data, and then we'll calculate roughly what the film lost the studio. These calculations are going to be my own educated estimates. Feel free to dispute them if you disagree. I'm going purely on the information that we have to hand at the moment, and I'm also going on what we estimate the budget and marketing costs to be. So these figures may not be exact. Anyway, in case it comes as a shock to you, which I doubt it will, this film was a considerable box office flop. It was a colossal box office flop. Firstly, it had a pretty poor opening weekend, pulling in just $42 million domestically. So that's in the US. The overall domestic return was just $87.2 million. So that's what the film made solely in the United States. The international take, which is all the box office earnings it grossed outside of America, comes to $118.3 million. That's a combined total of $205.5 million. Now, as a rule of thumb in Hollywood, studios only get about half the domestic take and 1/3 of the international take. So you take the $87.2 million that it made domestically, and you half that figure. And you get $43.6 million, obviously. And then you take the $118.3 million that it made internationally, and you divide that by 3. And you get $39.4 million. So you add those two figures together, and you get a combined total of $83 million. You subtract that $83 million from the $340 million figure that we mentioned earlier, and you get $257 million of a difference. That's how much this film lost Disney. Over $250 million in the red. And if the total cost of making the film had have been the $370 million figure we mentioned earlier, well, in that case, the loss could have been as high as $287 million. But either way, it was huge. Again, these are not exact numbers. These are educated estimates on my behalf, so don't take it as gospel or anything. But they do come close enough to a lot of other estimates doing the rounds right now. Either way, there's no scenario where this film wasn't a massive financial loss for the studio. And when you look at the trailers, you see something that I think looks awful visually, really bad CGI. We've talked about that. The film had a few controversies, of course. Some remarks made publicly before the film was released by its main star, Rachel Zegler, when she was talking about the 1937 Snow White film, which is an animated classic, of course. We've talked about those in a previous video. Those remarks may have alienated some people who otherwise would have gone to see this 2025 Snow White film. I personally think the film should have been shelved, but that's neither here nor there. Snow White 2025 is yet another box office failure and another movie in a succession of recent flops that have hurt Disney's brand once again. One wonders how much longer they'll continue to accept losing this kind of money. One wonders how long it's going to take them to realize that some of the kinds of movies they've been making recently may not be as captivating to general audiences as they thought they might be. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.